Yes, a very good afternoon to the children of class 12 arts. So, as already discussed in the previous class, that is previous week, the first two chapters as it was there, it will be there, like India's Cold War era, end of bipolarity, and the third chapter which is US hegemony. I told you that chapter will not be included, and this particular chapter, that is India's foreign relation, is actually given to you in the form of India's external foreign policies, given in the form of India's external relations. So, we will continue with that, and together with that, whatever has been sent by the board, I will ask. I have given you for the last chapter, I have read out in the class, I have dictated in the class, and for the rest of the chapters, I will try to ask sir to provide a PDF of the in the official website of the school, so that you can get it, the parts which have been added for your chapter 4. So, the name of the chapter goes like this: India's foreign policy, but it is given in your book, it is given India's external relation. So, external obviously means outside India, and outside India means obviously it means foreign countries, clear, and relations means what kind of policies you will frame for having relations with the foreign countries of India. Now, in the first chapter, when I have talked about that the first democratic, sorry, this I have made a mistake, dear. This is from your book Contemporary Politics in India. Politics in India since independence, sorry. Policy in India since independence, and here this is the fourth chapter. I am absolutely sorry, dear. No. Jyotirmoy, this question I have answered the previous day. You cannot buy it from the market. The school stationery counter is open, and I have given that a number the other day for children, those who come from far, that is Katwa and other surrounding areas. I have given a number to them so that they can have a contact and solve their problem, but as per the instructions, you cannot buy books, files as well as pages for the project from outside. You have to buy them from the school itself. It should have the emblem of the school, logo of the school. So, this is from your book Politics in India since Independence, and the first chapter which we have done is Challenges to Nation Building. Second one was Politics era of one party dominance, which is not there in your syllabus. Third chapter we have already done, that is Politics of Planned Development, and the fourth chapter I have come across now, which is India's foreign policies, or the name of the chapter is India's external relations. And in this particular chapter only, in the very first chapter, we have seen that after independence, it was in 1952 that the first democratic government of India was established. 1952. First democratic government, because the election got first election got completed by February 1952, and it was just after 1 month that the first democratic government of India was established, with Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru becoming its first Prime Minister. So, you have to remember one thing in mind, that before the establishment of the Ministry of Finance as a separate department, usually the Prime Minister is the one who frames the foreign policy of the country. Clear? The foreign policies of the country, although they are established or framed under the name of the President, but they are done completely by the Prime Minister of the country. The Prime Minister decides as to what kind of a foreign policy it is going to follow with which country of the world. Even today after a separate Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been framed, although we are having a separate foreign ministry, even then it is the Prime Minister who decides as to with which country what kind of relationship they will have. So, after the democratic government, now we will deal with the foreign policies of India between 1952 to 1964. This is under Jawaharlal Nehru's prime ministership. This is under the prime ministership of Jawaharlal Nehru. Clear? Because in 1964, unfortunately, before ending his term, he had died or he has parted away because he was sick for the past 1 year. So, when Jawaharlal Nehru came to become the prime minister, the first prime minister of India, so what were his foreign policies? His foreign policies was based on, first of all, as in the first chapter you have seen that what the challenges of India was what? First of all, into India to be a democratic, follow a democratic model, and second one was what? Socio-economic development of the people. So, when Jawaharlal Nehru was framing its foreign policy, he had kept in mind the objectives or the aims which he must have to follow after the first democratic government of India has been established in India. So, when Jawaharlal Nehru was forming his foreign policies, he had to keep in mind that India has turned into a democratic country, first of all. That means it cannot lose its democratic character by again going under the rule of some other power, some other foreign power, because this time Jawaharlal Nehru needed to be very careful that this time he must have to be completely democratic, because signing any kind of treaty with any particular country should not be such that the democratic character of India should be disturbed or hampered. This must be kept in view, first thing. And second was that India, after the Britishers had gone away, India was completely drained out. India was completely exploited of its economic resources. So, whatever foreign policies India was going to take up, it would be based upon what? It should be based upon the democratic model, keeping intact the democratic model as well as the socio-economic development of the people. These two things were very, very vital for Jawaharlal Nehru or for India while framing the foreign policy of India. Now, when I am talking about this, so you see this time period 1952 to 1964, this was the time period when Jawaharlal Nehru had actually framed his foreign policies. And as I have taught you in the book of Contemporary World Politics, there I have given you one date was 1945 to 1991. Can anybody of you please tell me what is this date I have mentioned about 1945 to 1991? What is this date actually? This date is of actually what? This time period is actually of what? Yes, Jyotirmoy is typing, please. Let me see. Yes, very, very good. Yes, Jyotirmoy, it is very good. Yes, this was again a time of the Cold War. India, when India became independent, you can well understand 1945, that means India got her independence in 1947. So, before India got her independence, the Cold War era had already started, isn't it? And 1945, so the Cold War has started, and when the first democratic government was established and when Jawaharlal Nehru was framing his foreign policies after the first democratic government, that is from 1952, you can understand that this was the time of full-fledged Cold War, a period of full-fledged Cold War in India, not in India, all over the world. So, here it is very, very important that what kind of a foreign policy Jawaharlal Nehru had actually taken upon. And I have already talked about this particular part in the first chapter of your Cold War, and it was for this reason, as this particular thing was in my mind. So, for this reason, you know, I made a mistake that I told you it was from the book World Politics. So, when the Cold War was going on and India became independent, and so the first independent government of India was established. As you know, during this time the world was divided into two power poles. One was USA, getting it, one was USA, yes, one was USA and another one was USSR. You have heard about the different policies, you know about the different treaties by which these powers were getting into alliances. Like USA, you already know about the NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, SEATO, Southeast Asian Treaty Organization, ANZUS, Australia and New Zealand, and CENTO, that means the central part of the world. And whereas you know that USSR was making its friendship with the Warsaw Pact. Now, this was a very critical juncture in the history of Indian foreign relations. So, now as I have already told you that India was framing its foreign policy under Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and you know Jawaharlal Nehru was actually a pioneer or a mastermind for which particular policy? Can anybody of you please tell me, apart from Jyotirmoy? Jyotirmoy has given me the answer for the first one. Second part, can you tell me one of them, Jawaharlal Nehru was the pioneer or he was the mastermind for one of the policies during the period of Cold War. Can anybody of you please answer me? Raj Lakshmi is typing yes. Yes, very, very good. Very good, Raj Lakshmi. This is the non-alignment. Non-aligned. I have explained this, but once again I am just repeating it. Non means no, and alignment means entering into friendship or contract or an agreement or a treaty with any of the two power blocks. And you know, the mastermind for this non-alignment was actually Jawaharlal Nehru from India, although there were many other people also, like you know Sukarno from Indonesia, Joseph Broz Tito from Yugoslavia, Abdel Nasser from Egypt, and next later on you know that Kwame Nkrumah joined in from Ghana later on, because Ghana had achieved her freedom later on. So, this was the major stroke. Please remember, this was the master stroke by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in his foreign policy. What was that? That he will be following the policy of non-alignment. Non-alignment means not becoming a part of any of the two power blocks, not becoming a part of any of the two power blocks. And as I have told you for chapter number 1, the Cold War era in world politics, never use the terms non-involvement, neutrality, pacifism for non-alignment. For non-alignment, you have to mention that is keeping a safe distance from both the power blocks. Never use the words non-involvement, neutrality or pacifism. Never use the words, otherwise your answer will become wrong. So, what was that? Non-alignment was actually a policy of keeping a safe distance from both the power blocks. Now, there were three objectives upon which Jawaharlal Nehru had framed his foreign policy. The three main bases or objectives. Three main objectives or bases. One was the hard-earned sovereignty. What do you mean by the word hard-earned? Hard-earned means with great lot of difficulty. Sovereignty means independence. sovereignty means independence. That means with a lot of difficulty, with lot of sacrifices, India had actually gained her independence. So, Jawaharlal Nehru should not be doing anything by which India's sovereignty will be at a danger, or India will once again losing her freedom. This was one. Second was territorial integrity. This is another very important part which you have studied in the book, in this particular book. That means territorial integrity. Integrity means unity. You know that just before the Britishers were leaving India, what did they do? They have declared that the princely states will become independent. So what happened? You have heard about Jammu and Kashmir, Hyderabad, Manipur, Tripura, Punjab, how these states have caused a lot of difficulty in uniting with India. So, if for example India sided with one of the power blocks, what would happen? Other states would say, why did you side with this power block? Why didn't you side with this power block? So, we don't want to be a part of India, we are coming out of India. So, it will become another major issue. And the third one was rapid development. The three things again and again I am repeating. These were the objectives, three main objectives upon which Jawaharlal Nehru's foreign policy was based upon. First of all, at any cost, India's sovereignty, that means freedom should not be gone or endangered. There should not be, territorial integrity means unity among the various states of India should be maintained, and rapid development in India should be brought out, because India has faced 200 years of colonial exploitation. So, these were the three objectives with which Jawaharlal Nehru finally came up with his idea of NAM. That means what did he do? He tried to maintain a distance from the two camps. Who are the two camps? The two camps were USA and USSR. India did not want it to become a member of any one of the two superpowers, and you know, mainly the African and Asian countries, I don't know whether it's visible to you or not. Mainly African and Asian countries were the one who had joined or have become a part of NAM. As I have told you, Egypt was there, Yugoslavia was there, Indonesia was there, Ghana was there, and many other African and Asian countries were there who had actually become members of NAM. So, whenever these NAM countries, the countries who were members of NAM, whenever they will be in a problem, all the NAM members will have to support them. As for example, you see some examples are given here on page number 67, distance from the two camps. That first paragraph, you can see that like you see, when Egypt, when in 1956, when Britain attacked Egypt over the Suez Canal, India had to help it. So, why India had helped Egypt? Because Egypt was also a member of the NAM country. Clear? So, whenever Indonesia was in a problem, Indonesia had to be helped by all the NAM countries. So, all the NAM countries, you know, they came together and they had helped each other for bringing about development among them. That means they did not become a part of any of the two power blocks. And one more topic, you know, which Jawaharlal Nehru wanted badly, he wanted was the Afro-Asian unity. Afro-Asian unity. He was very keen, he was very eager in developing a a relationship, a peaceful understanding between the African and the Asian countries who had actually become members of NAM. And in this regard, what he do, you know, the first meeting for Afro-Asian unity was held in the year 1961 in Bandung. In Indonesia. And this one is treated to be the first summit of NAM. Summit means the conference or the meeting. The first summit of NAM. This was held in the year September 1961 in Bandung. It is a city of Indonesia, and this was mainly done for bringing about the unity between the African and the Asian countries who did not become a part of either of the two power blocks. In fact, they decided to remain away from it, and this was a master stroke of the foreign policy of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Immediately he formed his first democratic government in India. So let it be up till today here. Tomorrow I will start with India's relationship with China. Clear? So anybody is having a problem up till this part, you can ask me. Anyone who is having a problem in this regard, you can ask me, please. This chapter is quite similar to the first chapter of world politics in India, as you have done there, world politics in India. Children, if you are having a problem, you can please ask me about India's foreign policy. That means just after independence, that means just after India got her independence and the first democratic government was established under the prime ministership of Jawaharlal Nehru. And we see the India's one of the most important the most significant part of Jawaharlal Nehru's foreign policy was his creation of non-alignment, and what were the objectives upon which he wanted to frame India's policy. It was a very critical juncture to frame a foreign policy for a country which has been under colonial exploitation for so many years. Clear? So, children, you are not giving me the response whether you have understood or not. If yes, then please do write it. If not, then also please write it so that I can please understand. Oh, ma'am understood. Okay, thank you. Very nice. That is very good kind of you. And the paths, as I have told you that I have understood. Okay, very good. Yes, very good for all of you. All of you have understood. It's very good. And children, with regard to the part on the PDF or the parts which have been added, I will make it, I will help you out by asking our computer sirs, teachers, they are all genius, you know that, to put the PDF in it. Yes, you know, a remarkable contribution by the computer teachers of BMS. You think that we are under lockdown. No, we were there under lockdown. It's very true I am talking about. They were not there. They were here in the school giving their efforts, and we are really thankful to them. So, okay, bye-bye to students.